Hi, my name is Lucas Wagner, and my hobby is Lego. I've been collecting seriously since 2012, but my first real start to the hobby was in 2008. Costco used to have these books, and this is one of them. They were small books that included a big build, two minifigures, and a side build. And the thing with them is that you could rebuild it multiple different ways. So this one came with the villain, the Manta Ray, as well as one of the Atlantean warriors. And I also had the pirate one growing up. But my first real Lego set was set number 7040, from the Castle line, and it was the Dwarf's Mine Defender. So like I said, I didn't seriously start collecting until around 2012 when the Monster Fighter theme came out, and I have the original set box right here. So the Monster Fighters theme was only a short year-long lived theme. It included the hero. This one is Major Quentin Steele. It also included his vehicle, as well as the antagonist in the set, which is the werewolf, and the exclusive crystal. And the theme story, overall gist of it, was that the Monster Fighters were trying to collect these crystals before the villains, the monsters, collect them all and use them to destroy the world. So Lego's changed quite a bit since 2012. One thing that still stays the same is the poly bags. These are relatively one of the cheaper ways of getting a set. They are around $3.99. This is one of the newer ones. But one of my first poly bag era builds was back when they used to be in boxes. They were $5. And this is set number 9461, another one of the Monster Fighters theme series sets. And this one came with the Swamp Creature's crystal, as well as the actual boat to get to the crystal. And the actual character is Frank Rock. As for my most expensive set, I actually got it more recently, and that was in 2021. I had just graduated high school. And on November 1st, my grandpa and I, he drove me to the Disney store, the Disney Lego store. And we walked to the Lego store. He had his walker at the time. And we picked up the huge box of the Titanic. It was so heavy that I remember we had to put it on his walker. And we were hobbling and trying to push it all the way down to the parking lot, and it couldn't even fit on the walker. It was like struggling to stay on the walker. We eventually got it back to the car. It probably took around 18 hours non-consecutively over the span of a couple weeks, and it has 9,900 pieces, and the original retail cost of it was $600. One of my favorite sets is set number 70840. And it is Welcome to Apocalypseburg. It came out in 2019, and it is from the Lego Movie 2. The movie itself wasn't the best, at least the second part of the movie wasn't the best. But basically what this set is a post-apocalyptic city inside the fallen Statue of Liberty. And so inside this set, there's so many different, playability, different features, different rooms, different exclusive figures, and there were so many cool techniques about it, from the sideways building technique of the arm to just the intricate detail of the face was sculpted with the eyes and stuff. That it's definitely one of the most monumental sets and one of my favorite sets for sure. I remember I got it for my 16th birthday. I saved up all my birthday money and Christmas money. And my mom and I, we went to the Glendale Galleria to pick it up. One of my favorite classic themes growing up was Chima. And Chima was a theme that ran from 2013 to 2015. Originally, it was supposed to replace Lego Ninjago, another one of Lego's original IPs that they own the rights to. But the theme lasted with 138 sets, and basically the story of the Chima was that there's different tribes, all are different animals. There's the lions, the wolves, the crocs, just to name a few. And what they're trying to do is they're all at war with each other over this type of crystal called chi that basically is like a drug that gives them powers and allows them to go to war. It also runs their civilizations and their vehicles. That was what Chima was basically. And a lot of the sets have a lot of cool playability. Some of the actual vehicles can split off from each other, creating 7 different vehicles. Another one of the sets could transform from a building into a jet. Another one has, as the spider walks, all the different individual legs move. There's tons of different trapdoor features, tons of different prisons, tons of different just guns and blasters, cages to catch each other, and tons of different just fun, cool playability that I had back in the day with that theme growing up. So if I had to dedicate a room to one theme in particular, or like a favorite theme that could encapsulate a full room, a lot of people are going to go with the obvious of Star Wars, right? But for me, I think also just summing up Lego's history is just all of these original licensing. That is how Lego got their start. They used to do themes like Ninjago, like Chima, Monster Fighters, but also things like Nexo Knight and Pharaoh's Quest and Ultra Agents, Atlantis, Alien Conquest, just to name off a few of them. But it all started with the Lego Adventurers theme and the Orient Expedition theme in the 90s. So if I had to have a whole room dedicated towards just the history of Lego as well as just one theme, I guess, it would be devoted towards just all of these original licensing themes, showing off their boxes, their figures, the history and the storylines with all these different character names and all of that, and how it all comes together. So Lego has a shelf life for all their sets, and what a shelf life is how long a product is on a shelf. What determines this is the theme as well as the popularity. So something like a Lego City ice cream truck, it'll have a shelf life probably around 6 months. But something like the Death Star, it's the Death Star, right? It's Star Wars, so it's going to be here it'll probably have a 3-year shelf life. So the longest shelf life, like I said, is 3 years. Shortest is 6 months, but typically everything retires within a year. One of my favorite pieces that I will get Sunday is set 10260. And this is the Lego Modular Downtown Diner. Now, what is a modular? A modular is a building that all the floors are built in a fashion that they can come apart and separate from each other, and there's rooms and interiors in each of the floors. And so in the year 2015, there was a modular, and it was a 1960s, 1950s diner. And it's just a really cool piece, from the jukebox in the interior to the boxing ring upstairs. This really cool classic 60s style car. And it's just a really cool piece that you see it and you're like, man, I just really wish I could be in this architecture, in this city. It reminds me of something like Ruby's, I guess, nowadays. But yeah, even the how it looks, it honestly kind of looks like a jukebox too, with the curvature of the top and all of that. So that is a set that I really, really honestly want to get one day. I have the only modular in my collection is the Palace Cinema. It's a movie theater. And the good thing about all these modular buildings also is that they can all connect to each other. All right, so hardest set. I'm at the point now where pretty much everything goes together relatively quickly, but there have been some times more recently too where I'm still scratching my head okay, backtrack, I did that wrong, why is this not connecting, and the angles of stuff. So one of the most challenging pieces that is more so nowadays is they've come up with these helmets that are 18 plus for a reason, because of all the different intricate details of the eyes, but also it's round, and it's how you build it is you build the exoskeleton frame, and then from there you build all the angles around it. So this is Venom. They've also done Star Wars characters. I have the Darth Vader bust. That one was pretty difficult as well as I have the Spider-Man bust, and I have also the Star-Lord helmet as well. As far as easiest goes, one of the easiest builds, I think, besides vehicles, obviously, to the point where I was honestly kind of disappointed with it because I had to track it down on the aftermarket, is this set from Thor Ragnarok. This is the arena from the Thor Ragnarok movie where Thor is having to fight the Hulk, and it's on Sakaar. The issue with this set, honestly, is it's literally just a brick-built wall to the point of you're only buying this figure basically for the Hulk. And now that Hulk figure goes for $75 on his own because he has that exclusive helmet, those exclusive shoulder pads. And so it basically, nowadays, it makes up, that whole figure makes up the price of the actual set. So as far as how I keep everything organized, I have a couple different methods. When it comes to bricks, these are all just spare bricks, and I have them currently color sorted. So this is all light gray. And anytime I want to do a mock, I can just pull out the light gray pieces and start digging. I have more at my other my mom's house of the other like red colors and other primary colors, but these are more like of the dark grays and blacks and tans because I'm working on Hogwarts Castle right now. When it comes to instructions, I have everything organized by the names as well as the year, I believe. So we can just pull out Star Wars drawer, and right off the top, we have a TIE Fighter. This is the TIE Fighter from 2021. I was wrong. But obviously it continues on down. Star Wars, Marvel, DC, Harry Potter, Jurassic World, and Jurassic Park, City, and Ninjago. And then up here, this is another thing that is organized. These, obviously, I don't have enough room, unfortunately, for everything that I currently own here yet. There will be more expansions in the future. But this is every single set name as well as the set number. That's all what that is. And then in this side of the closet, once again, more access to the tower of instruction manuals, as well as over here. Eventually, I'm going to be getting more of these and putting them all the way across, and I'm going to be organizing all the pieces individually so that then I can go about, building things easier. But these are also sets that I need to build and find a spot for that unfortunately I don't have room for right now. So one of them, just pulling out a couple, the Beatles Yellow Submarine. Really want to find a spot for this, but as of right now I don't have room. We also have the Fender guitar, which would go really cool next to like Beatles. So maybe do a music area. I know they did a Spice Girls set from the 90s music. Other things that I have in here, I have the Up House I still need to build. I have something from Black Panther, a couple things from Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. And so yeah, that's kind of how I organize like all of the pieces, the instructions. In these blue boxes, I have every single original set box as well, because another good thing about investing as well as resell is if you have the original set box, the original set instructions, the original set, as well as the figures themselves, obviously then you can get more money. And so I've yet to sell anything from my collection, but I have everything still in my collection to where I could resell it back in the day. The other thing that I have that I've been doing more recently when it comes to sorting and collecting is minifigure frames. All right, so here's the first one we'll take a look at. This is the Lord of the Rings Hobbit, actually, frame, and this contains basically all the figures from the Hobbit movies. These figures were in sets from 2014 to around 2016 is when the final Hobbit movie fell out. And Lord of the Rings has started to see a resurface of sets, but Hobbit itself hasn't. So when that happens, a lot of these figures, they tend to skyrocket. And so that's why it's always a good idea, if you have any figures, even in bins from your childhood, to make sure that they are in good condition, as well as make sure that they are all put together correctly. Because some of these figures, they can go for a lot because they have exclusive hair molds or hat molds or something like that. So specifically the figures in the first two rows, these are all the main members of Thorin Oakenshield Company, and there's 14 members in Thorin Oakenshield, counting Gandalf and Bilbo. But a lot of these dwarfs are starting at $40 just for these 4 individual exclusive pieces, that being the torso, the head, the hair, and the legs. Legs are more so you can find them in other sets, but when it comes down to the head, the torso, and the hair, they are pretty much exclusive and don't really move anywhere else. Another mini collection that I have going, this is every single Iron Man minifigure made since 2012, excluding the Comic-Con figure, which I'm not going to buy because he's $10,000. There are a couple that have come out in 2025 that I still need to purchase, so I guess it's not technically all there, but you can see that each figure, although it's basically Iron Man, they all have different torso printings. Some of them have different helmets and different colorations. And so when it comes to investment, if you're looking to do such a thing, this is another great way of trying to get something for investment. If you're collecting just one of every minifigure, whether it's your favorite Batman or your favorite Iron Man, it's another great way of doing it. How does Lego compare to when I started in 2012? It's really night and day for sure. And there's a couple things that are changed for the better and a couple things that unfortunately have changed for the worse. One of the main things that changed recently, unfortunately, is pricing. It's something obviously that, has to be talked about. At the end of the day, yes, they are plastic bricks. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean that they are the price of water bottles. Lego is very expensive nowadays, as we talked about with the price of that Titanic, and that was in 2021. So something like a Lego City vehicle that used to be $20 back when I started collecting, unfortunately nowadays is around the $25 to $30 mark. Also, it's going to potentially have less minifigures, and that's, disappointing. Another thing to consider about the change between now and then is, besides obviously the size of things and the price of things, is unfortunately the playset to vehicle standard is kind of what I call it. Back in the day, Lego used to do these really cool play sets for a really decent price. The one that instantly comes to my mind is in 2011, they made a Geonosis Star Wars battle, and it was between Dooku and Yoda. And this set was $30, and it only had something like 300 pieces, right? 200, 300 pieces. It was a good price. Nowadays, play sets don't get really made. Instead, when it comes to Star Wars or City or all of the themes, really, they prefer to do vehicles. So instead of getting a Spider-Man lair where he's going up against Kingpin or Venom or whatever, you're going to get a Spider-Man jet, which really isn't anything from the movies or comics, but it's switched to. And it's honestly kind of disappointing, because when it comes to something like that Geonosis set that was $30 and it had some amazing figures, but also some amazing playability with these trapdoors and these, you could fling the Jedi Yoda so that he could fight Count Dooku, or anything from Chima really, where yes, there were vehicles like the Wolf tank, but the cool thing with that vehicle is that it could split into 5 different vehicles. Or something like the Lion Chi Temple from Chima as well. It has trapdoors. It has a pull-out bridge. It has multiple different rooms to where you can have loads of different playability. The last main thing between Lego in 2012 and earlier, as well as I would say it probably started in 2018, is we've seen a increase in non-original ideas and more so in IP. So nowadays, Lego, if it comes to creating an original idea like Ninjago or Monster Fighters, or all those original ideas that I listed before, or partnering with Nintendo to do something like Mario sets, or in 2026, rumors are we're getting Pokemon sets. Lego is more inclined to do partnerships with Disney and Warner Brothers and Lionsgate and Nintendo, all these, brands that they can tap into the market of, all of these more known ideas rather than trying to create their own original ideas. When it comes to giving advice of how would I get into Lego? It's a really cool looking hobby and there's really cool models. I think that honestly, the good thing about Lego is nowadays, like I just said, they're tapping into all these different licensing. So there's something for pretty much everyone. If you're into anime, well, congratulations. They're making One Piece anime Lego sets coming out this August, I believe. If you're into something like classic movies like Indiana Jones and Back to the Future and Ghostbusters, you know, for the most part, you can always find these sets on the shelves, these huge cars of Ghostbusters and Back to the Future. If you're into dinosaurs from Jurassic World, there's about to be new Jurassic World sets releasing June 1st for the movie coming out. If you're into Marvel, there's tons of Marvel sets out, obviously. Same with Harry Potter, Star Wars, DC. There are so many different licensing. So why did Lego make this shift, right? Why have they changed from something like Shima and Nexonite and all these really cool original ideas to all these, you know, more licensable themes? The main shift, I think, happened around COVID. And something, you know, happened during COVID where a lot of people were stuck in their homes, obviously, but building Lego and slapping down all these little bricks, there's something therapeutic to it. And so around the same time that COVID happened, a ton of adults got into the hobby, and Lego changed their slogan to Adults Welcome. And so they started branching into these licensed themes and making more of these sets that, you know, are more marketable towards adults. And even so, they've honestly started marketing and doing sets that are even more so marketing towards different demographics. One of these that I don't have any in this room, but they are the Lego Botanical Collection. And so you have these girls in their late 20s that, you know, have these really cool looking Lego flowers that, let's be honest, they're never going to die. And they look realistic and they look amazing to the point where if you're honestly just looking for something that can sit on a coffee table or on a mantle or somewhere, these botanical collections are just really, really cool, talking pieces and another great way to get into the hobby for sure. The other good thing about Lego is obviously chances are at some point in your life, they're going to make something that is going to connect with someone on a deeper level, or it's going to be their favorite thing. They're going to go through a phase where, oh my God, I love The Office. I want the Lego Office set. So that's what when I mean like one-time licensing, I would say that is my best investment advice, is if they're making sets that are, maybe there's only one or two of them out at the moment, that later on down the line, if they make a movie, if they bring back the licensing, or if it's something that is such a popular thing, it's going to be popular. It's always going to be popular. So just shouting out a couple sets that are on the top of my mind of you should go out and purchase this set investment wise. The first one that comes to mind is the Lego Twilight Cullen House. Now, I say that and a ton of eyes probably roll in the room because it's Twilight. It's, you know, not something that's like typically for the adult male demographic, but pretty much all the Cullens are in the set. There are 3 that are missing, and Twilight is a franchise that is always going to be popular due to the books and the movies, but also because of, you know, just different young adult women readers that are getting into the franchise by reading these books in high school or whatever, whenever they get to the books. Lego does, like I said, a lot of these one-time licensing. A couple years ago, they did Seinfeld. They did Friends. The Office is currently still on store shelves. If you have not bought The Office, I would recommend buying The Office because that set is going to skyrocket. I already know in a couple years, so many people are going to want that Dwight and Michael minifigure that they are going to be like really expensive minifigures on the aftermarket. The Flintstone House, that's another one that they did a couple years ago. And Scooby-Doo, originally it came out in 2016. They made the Mystery Machine and it came with Scooby, Shaggy, and Fred. It was $30 back in the day. Now it is sitting at $100, when the value of what you get is only worth $20 to $30. And that's what I mean when I talk about like Lego investment. I think the smartest and strategic idea is going to the store and picking up sets like the sets I mentioned that are probably a one and done theme.